Hey guys, my name is Nick Paicos. My shop is the Paicos Aesthetic. In this week's video, we're going to be talking about a basic woodworking skill, how to build straight, flat, and square. We're going to talk about the steps that you need to take to go from rough cut lumber that you purchase at a hardwood dealer, make it surfaced four sides and usable for your next woodworking project. This is going to be part of a new playlist that I'm putting together called Basic Woodworking Skills. And this is designed for beginners in the hobby that want to learn the basic steps about how to get started in woodworking and start creating projects. This is one of the most fundamental skills you can have. So if you're interested in learning this really cool trade, let's get into it. All right, so I'm gonna quickly just name the 5 steps in the process of milling up these boards, and then I'll get into each one specifically. So step 1 is creating your first reference face on your joiner. Step 2 is creating a parallel reference face opposite the first reference face on your planer. Step 3 is creating a reference edge on one of your edges, again on the joiner. And step 4 is creating an opposite reference edge to that first reference edge on the table saw. So I guess I lied, there's 4 steps. Okay guys, so I've selected my board that I'm going to demonstrate on how to make straight, flat, and square, and I've labeled it to make this process a little bit easier to understand. So I have a face on one side, I have a face on the other side, I have one edge on that side, the other edge, and then demonstrating that this board is not ideal, it's got a nice cup to it. So this is going to be a good board to flatten. All right, step number 1. I'm going to take my maple board here and I'm going to create my first reference side on one of these faces. I'm going to do that using my jointer, which is this machine here. An alternative, if you don't have a jointer at home, this is called a jointer planer, and it's specifically made, it's got a long reference face so that you can create reference faces on your board. This is a fairly expensive item. These are $200 to $300, obviously cheaper than your jointer, but just to give you a comparison, I got my first joiner from Grizzly. That was a 6-inch joiner that was $700. And you can find bench top joiners that are probably the same price as this, if not cheaper, okay? Before I get started using my jointer, I'm just gonna make sure that my machine is square. I'm using it to create a square board, so I gotta check and make sure that it's square to begin with. There's been plenty of times where I've gone to mill up boards, gotten to the last step in the process only to realize my jointer wasn't square, I didn't check it first, and then I gotta redo the whole thing again. It really sucks. So checking that my jointer is square, you'll see that it's already perfectly square, so I don't have to make any adjustments. But if you have to make adjustments, those are up here on your machine. Important tip, guys, when you're starting off jointing a board, you're creating a reference edge. If your board does have a cup, always go cup side down. And the reason is you're going to give yourself 2 reference points here, and it's going to be easier to create a flat face. If I'm trying to flat the opposite side, it's really hard to create a reference edge. One time when you push the board over, it might be like that. The other time it might be like that. So this is a better way to do it. Alrighty guys, so that was 2 passes on the jointer, and what I'm left with is my first flat reference sides. This becomes the side that I measure everything else off of. You can see when you create a good flat reference side and you have it on a flat surface like your jointer, your table saw top, it almost creates like a suction. You can feel the pull of the wood against the metal. So that's step 1. Step 2, we're going to take our board with our freshly milled side, we're going to take it over to the planer. Now over at the planer, guys, we're taking our reference side, we're placing it that side down, and now what we're going to do is as this board rolls through the machine, the planer is going to create another flat surface on top that is parallel to your reference side that you've already created. That's how a planer works. It creates a parallel surface opposite to your reference side. It's also why you can't use a planer to create your first reference side without using a special jig. And that's because it's going to create a flat surface, but it's going to create a flat surface that's parallel to the opposite side. So you create your first flat edge on your jointer. All right, so after we've taken it from the planer, I've got my original flat side I created on the joiner, step 1. Got my flat side opposite the first side that is now flat and parallel to that first side, step 2. Now we're gonna go back to the joiner for step 3, where we're gonna square up one of these edges. So at this point in the project, we have flattened 3 sides. We should have 1 edge that is square to 2 flat faces. It's a good idea at this point to stop and check your work. So I'm going to check for square. That looks good there. That looks good there. So I'm happy with that. And now I want to mark my board so I don't lose where I am in the process. So I'm going to put a triangle here. And then another one here. I have triangles here, and that lets me know that these 2 edges are square. So that way when I go to do the last step in the table saw, I know to put this edge against the fence because this is my reference edge. This last step is going to be done at the table saw, guys. So I'm going to take my marked reference edge. That's going to go against my table saw. Because I know this side is flat. You want it to be against the flat table saw fence. And that's going to create you an edge that is flat and parallel to your reference edge. All right, guys, so the final product is a board that's been surfaced 4 sides. So now you know when you go to a hardwood lumber store and you see S4S, you know what that means. You know it's been surfaced 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. Yeah, this is the final result. This piece is ready to use in my project. I want to thank you guys for watching this week's video. Again, this is going to be added to the basic woodworking skills playlist, and it's going to be part of a series of woodworking skills that you need to master to become proficient at woodworking. If you found the content helpful, please consider subscribing, liking, and commenting on this video. I would really love to hear people's feedback. The whole reason I'm creating this playlist in the first place is that I've gotten some feedback to do some more beginner-friendly videos. So please let me know, was this helpful for you guys? Was this not explained very well? There's always things I can improve, and I want to hear what the feedback from you guys is. If you did find the content helpful and you want to check out more videos like this, then head over to the basic woodworking skills playlist. It's going to have more videos like this one in it with basic woodworking skills. There's not a ton of videos in there yet. I think this is the second one I'm adding to it, but there's going to be more videos to come. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.